Today's gospel and this parable that we hear from Jesus is directed towards the Pharisees who loved money. We need to know that. The Pharisees who loved money, that's the audience of this parable that Jesus is sharing. But I think it's also good for us to hear, to be reminded, because the core of the message is that they need, maybe we need, to detach ourselves from our attachment to money, to wealth. We need to detach ourselves from that. And the example he's telling them, he's talking about detaching themselves because they're so attached to it, so attached to their wealth, to their money, that their love for this exceeds any other thing. They're so attached that they cannot even care for another person. They're so attached to this. We listen to this parable that Jesus describes of the rich man and the poor man at the table. This rich man was so focused on his wealth. He had so much by the sounds of it. There was even a poor man sitting at the foot of his table on the ground with sores, regularly feeding on the scraps, and he did nothing to help him. Imagine that for a second. That's a grave situation. It tells us a lot about how focused this rich man was on himself, the selfishness he had. Nothing else mattered. It was all about self. So in today's gospel, we're working through, we're in week 3 now. Week 3. We've gone through a couple weeks of Lent. Now it's going to get even more difficult. We're starting to see some of our attachments, some of the things we decide to fast from. It's becoming a little bit difficult. Some of the things that we decided to do for almsgiving, we're starting to feel it. Our dedication to prayer may start to waver. We're starting to really experience the desert now. So now's a good time to stop and ask ourselves, with today's parable of this rich man and the poor man, how is our almsgiving going? How is our fasting going this Lent? Are we doing things that break our attachments to the material things, to our wealth, to whatever it may be? Are the things that we are doing to fast or to give alms, is it breaking those attachments? Is it helping us to draw closer to God and closer to one another in service and in love? We may want to ask ourselves at this time, how much do we care about others? How much do we care about others? And then act. And then act. Actions are very important. We can care all we want and not lift a finger. The proof of our caring and loving other people is the actions we take. We heard about in another gospel where Jesus was telling them, the Gentiles love their family and friends too. They know how to take care of each other. But Christians, we are different. In the family of God, we care about people we don't even know. We care about people who are in need that may not be related to us, or that may not be able to pay us back any time in their life. That's the difference. That's what makes a Christian different. That's what makes a follower of Jesus Christ totally different. Our sphere of concern and generosity, of prayer, of almsgiving, it goes way past just family and friends and the people we like in our life. It goes to people we don't know. It goes to people who are in need that we notice that there is a need. That's what makes us different. That's a good barometer to see how we're doing on living Christian love completely. In this parable of today's gospel, the rich man was so self-centered that he did nothing to care for the poor man right at the foot of his table. Again, I want you to think of this image. Imagine the altar as the table of the rich man. He's sitting there feasting sumptuously in fine clothing. And yet there is a man, there is a person made in the image and likeness of God sitting right there on the ground, hoping that scraps fall off so that he can feed himself. This is a grave situation. He could have done so much to help him. The opportunity was there every single day. But instead, he did nothing. Think about it. Evil prevails when good people do nothing. Evil prevails when good people do nothing or fail to act. Think of all the poverty, the famine, homelessness, that all continue to ravage our world. Poverty, famine, homelessness, all exhibited by the man sitting at the table on the ground. Yes, are the people who have jobs, who have homes, who have food in their bellies, in their fridges, in their freezers, are we doing enough to act? Are we doing anything to act? Maybe that's a better question. Ask ourselves today, what am I doing to help others? What am I doing to help others? Who cares what other people are doing? Don't look at other people. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't think, well, they have more means than I do. No. Ask ourselves. Ask yourself. What am I doing to help other people in need? That's a good question for us to reflect upon at this time in the desert, this time in Lent. And there's all sorts of excuses we can think of. Oh, right away, boom, boom, boom. All the excuses come up, the defenses, the wall. I'll do it later. I'm too busy. Other people will take care of them. They've got more resources than I do. There's shelters, there's kitchens, there's programs, there's all these other things for them. Other people will take care of it. Those are excuses. We should act now. We should make the time. Yes, there are other people doing things, but clearly not enough, and they need our help. Are there kitchens and shelters and programs? Yes, sure there are. When was the last time that I volunteered? When was the last time I contributed or donated to those programs and those shelters and those soup kitchens? Notice how when we put up our excuses, we don't want to knock those down. I'm trying to show you those excuses are weak. This is a tough gospel to read while in Lent, while in the desert. It really calls us to act. And we hear the consequences of the rich man. It's scary consequences. He's saying, well, Abraham, send him down, send him from heaven to go warn my brothers. Surely if someone comes back from the dead, they will do something, they will change. What does Abraham say? Didn't listen to Moses, didn't listen to the prophets, didn't see the signs of the times, you didn't even see the person sitting at your table who was hungry. And for us, that means the person in our community, in Ottawa, in Canada, in our world who needs our help. It's easy to ignore them, to not look, to change the channel, to rip up the mail asking for guidance or help. It's easy. It's easy to be like the rich man who just doesn't want to see. And you hear of the great remorse in the rich man's voice. Abraham is pretty clear. He's saying, send Lazarus over to at least dip his finger in water and quench my thirst. I am in agony in these flames. He's in hell. Lazarus is in heaven. He's saying, please, just a little bit. Just a little bit, because the agony is too much. And what does he say? Wow. It's harsh. It's harsh. He talks about, well, during your lifetime you had all these good things. And Lazarus, in like manner, he had evil things and had great suffering. But now he's comforted, and you are in agony. Wow, eternal justice. And the rich man doesn't like that. He's not used to this. Besides all these things, besides justice, Abraham then says, between you and us is a great chasm. Picture that chasm, a great chasm. Picture, what is it? The Grand Canyon. Picture that as a chasm. There is a great chasm between heaven and earth. There is a huge divide, a gap, space. That has been fixed, so that those who might want to pass, those who are in heaven, who love you and care about them, and they want to act now, they can't. They cannot do so. And no one from where you are can come to where we are. You had your chance in this life, and you wasted it. You ignored it. This is a strong gospel. It's a strong message. And hopefully we're listening. Hopefully we're letting it sink in. What am I doing to care for others this Lent?